It's finally time for the top 100 prospects newcomers. We had a lot going on, of course, the deadline, a heat sheet mixed in, I think three parts to trades, recapping on the deadline. But we didn't forget about the top 100 newcomers. Of course, very draft heavy, as to be expected in the first update since the draft. But we have some other newcomers as well. The focus on the draft guys, I feel like, is mostly just going to be why they slotted where they did. Of course, I'm not going to make a top 100 case as much. We've been talking about those guys a ton, but I'm excited to kind of discuss that because Jack, it's like it's really hard to figure out where the guys who just got drafted line up exactly. And as you know, think about how much the 2024 lists, like where those guys, the 2024 draft, how much that's changed. So it very much could change, but I'm excited to talk about it.
It's fun because I think we were talking about the 2023 draft class as the all-time draft class, and 24 was going to be a dud, and then we, fast forward to 25, and now we're talking about this slam dunk number one overall next year in Rock Chalowski in 26. It's like we're always trying to recalibrate. The Wembanyama Scoot Henderson draft class was supposed to be generational, and now it just kind of looks like Wemby at that point. And then there are other draft classes that look okay. So I thought Frankie Polari, the Marlins director of amateur scouting, made a really good point. It's like the all time great draft classes aren't as good as they're billed to be, and then the dud draft classes are not as bad as they're billed to be. So 23, it felt like it was almost billed to be a dud, right? Didn't someone call it shit? And then
24,
we,
24.
yeah, he called the 24, but now we're talking about 24 being like flat out awesome right now,
Amazing.
right?
Amazing. And well, it's funny because it's just like a good reminder of like if you have a strong opinion even at the time, you could be a little crazy and rank guys higher because I feel like the consensus with the draft, there's a lot more groupthink with the draft, which is understandable because how much can you see of these high school guys? How much of the opinion is being created from um, the select few people that have really followed these players, especially the prep guys, like significantly. I think college you see more variance in opinion, but even then, I think with the draft you just see a little bit more consensus, and I think as we're seeing now, it just changes so quick. So it's a reminder that I think even for myself that like, hey, you can maybe feel pretty aggressive or feel okay and emboldened sticking to the players you believe in because now it's not far fetched at all to move these players around. Well, first of all, several of the guys in the 2024 class have already graduated from prospect status, but like a Carson Bench, he's 19th. I thought people were gonna be shocked by that, and having Carson Bench 19th in our top 100, we're getting replies like, "When's he going to be top 10?" I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So it's fun, and I think it just shows you how fluid these things are.
Yeah, 100%. You want to start with the guy that slotted into the top 15 here?
Yeah, of course.
Let's jump in. Number four overall pick of the Colorado Rockies, Ethan Holliday, is the number 15 prospect in baseball. Ethan Holliday, has he made his professional debut just yet? I saw Willits footage. I haven't seen Holliday
I
footage
don't
yet.
think Holiday has yet.
Ethan Holliday, it doesn't look like he has. But why was he a top 15 prospect in baseball?
Well, it's funny too because right, it shows you how just weird the MLB draft is. The number four pick is the highest ranked guy of the draft class. Like it's funny how that works. But the big thing with him and what stood out to me, the more digging I was able to do, and the more I just watch the development of Ethan Holiday is. The swing adjustments that he made, and this is another player we talked about the Connor Griffin conversation, right? Where it's like making those adjustments before you hit serious adversity. Holiday did hit a little bit of adversity in the summer circuit. And I think that's where some people started to get a little bit concerned, relatively speaking, just about where he may line up compared to the expectations, because there was a little bit more swing and miss, at the summer circuit against some of the top competition. But he ditched his leg kick, he brought his hands higher, and he started working with a toe tap. That it seems like it's really allowed him to ride his back hip longer, and to be able to make that adjustment and then see those results so quickly, I think was extremely encouraging. And then you saw the results just after that, where the contact rates were up significantly, the swing decisions were better. And this is a guy where the power has not really ever been the question, right? He is built like his father, 6'4", 210 already. So to have the
Yeah.
hit tool gains like that, um, now you can start to dream on average or slightly above average hit, and then plus power. And if that's the case with plus plate discipline, you've got a monster here.
No doubt. Man, Ethan Holliday, I understand, and it really felt like wasn't he the odds-on favorite to go number one? Kade Anderson was the odds-on favorite to go
Yeah,
number
but it
one,
was
but
like
Holliday
those
was
two like combined were pretty much, I think the implied probability would have been like, 90%, right?
right. But 10% and option C went number one overall, and he is the second highest ranked prospect on your top 100 in terms of newcomers. Eli Willits checks in on the top 100 at number 22. Nats, he has not technically made his complex debut just yet. At least Baseball Reference didn't populate. I think what we saw was backfield footage of him just doing like an inner squat or something. It
Bridge
looked like he
league.
was taking on a teal jersey. Yeah, maybe the Bridge League. And we got a description of the Bridge League. It's not a true league where stats matter. It's just instead of inter squad scrimmages, you're scrimmaging against other complexes to see fresh faces and fresh arms. So it sounds way cooler than it actually is.
It's kind of like spring training, honestly. Like when in the
Yeah,
backfields, when we just peruse through those, and I think there's probably a little bit more of a fixed schedule with the spring training side of things because they line it up a little bit usually. But even then, honestly, they don't. Sometimes the big league team is totally different than the minor league teams that are on the backfield. So it feels like it's just kind of adjacent to that. But still, I'd love to know when it's going on so I could go watch. Uh,
right.
Eli Willits it was what we're talking about 15 to 22 was the gap. And this is where it gets a little
Yeah.
funky. It's like who are the who are the players that are in between the 1A and 1B for me in this draft class, and like how big is the gap between them? Okay, the gap between them is Bryce Eldridge, Andrew Painter, Josue DePaula, Carson Venge, and Walker Jenkins and Luke Keyshaw. Like that part is where it's kind of funny doing these rankings. But it really just was, I simplified it to just okay, uh, name a player and when am I not taking that player over Eli Willits? And that was just because
Yeah.
these all these guys are in the 55 plus future value tier,
Yeah.
for the most part. But I think with Holliday, the more that I dug into what he could be and what he has improved, and even the defense has improved, I could start to see shades of that 60 future value. And so that's what pushed him ahead. With Willits, the ceiling's a little bit more limited, but the floor seems like it's so high for a prepster. You got a switch hitter with a phenomenal field to hit, room to grow physically in terms of just filling out. He's gonna stick it short. He's got the Cooper Pratt kind of archetype to him where nothing's going to jump off the page, but the way he plays the game is so advanced. Uh, I would just say that the confidence you have that he's going to squeeze out every drop is high, and he's young for the class, so you have time as well, right? Reclassified, and that's a big part that I think makes me excited about him. He's 17 years old still, and we're talking about a guy where the floor is relatively high, but you start to wonder, oh, how much higher can he push the ceiling? No one's ruling out him pushing up the ceiling higher.
Right.
I think that's where it's exciting because you look at it and say, hey, he has an extra year here to just mature physically. Like 17 to 18 years old, he could come back next season and look much more physical. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still so young. So that's the part that I think makes it really exciting. But at the very least, you've got a switch hitter here with good bat to gap pop, can stick at shortstop, can run a little bit, and that's going to be a good player for a long time, even if he's maxed out and doesn't provide as much impact as people were hoping.
100%. But you feel like he's not going to be maxed out because, again, he's only 17 years old. Like, you have to factor in puberty and you have to factor in spending all day, every day trying to get better at the game of baseball. Like, there's a reason pro ball, you see guys just expedite the process.
And bloodlines, right? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
his dad playing in the show, and you can just see that, it, it's if we give Holiday credit for that, right? Like, I think Willits has grown up in a similar environment here. When you look at the way that he carries himself and the way he plays the game, and if it's 60 hit and 60 plate discipline, and even if it's just 40 power at that point, with 60 run and the ability to stick it short, it's a really good player.
Yeah.
And I kind of see, I think what you can kind of dream on. I don't know if the defense will be as elite, but again, you never know. There's like some Geraldo Perdomo here that I think is fun.
Ooh.
And I don't, again,
That's a sexy comp. I like that comp.
because it seems like between the switch hitting, field to hit, athleticism, shortstop ability, and even if the power doesn't fully come, This is a good player, but Perdomo's power is just shining through now, several years into his big league career. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the shades of that's how you cop out of the comp. It's
Yes.
reminds me of
The Kevin
shades
O'Connor
of.
special. Yep.
Yeah.
The KOC special, Shades of. I there's only one guy separating Willits and the top pitcher in the top 100 in terms of newcomers. George Lombard Jr. of the New York Yankees separates Eli Willits and Kade Anderson of the Seattle Mariners. But Kade slots in at number 24 in all of baseball. Left-hander has yet to make his pro debut. Would you be a little surprised if Anderson threw a pitch this year in affiliated ball?
Yeah, I think I would. Like, it just seems like that would be. I I don't know. With the way that he threw at the end of the year, and just how much he threw, I'd expect them to just take it easy, and I don't blame them for doing that. And
Yeah.
just lock in for next year. It's funny though because I think one of the most difficult things for me was Kade Anderson versus Thomas White. Um, how do you compare those two? Like,
Well, so one of them has a 14K game in Double A.
yeah, yeah, and well, and it's funny. I don't know why. I'm positive I had them flip flopped. I don't know what happened here. So, but
Oh,
the I had Thomas White over Kade Anderson. So I'll have to update that. Kade Anderson should be 25 if you're looking at the list right now. And the two guys in between should be Thomas White and George
George
Lombard
Lombard.
Jr. So the reason why I ended up leaning towards Thomas White getting the edge is kind of what you mentioned. And I don't want this to be a Thomas White thing, but this was really hard to like. This was just another one of those classic, really difficult comparisons where it's like, okay, these are both left-handed pitchers who, I think are very high probability, back into the rotation arms, even if it doesn't all come together, but both have the ceilings to be so much more. Thomas White, still not even 21 years old yet, whereas Kade Anderson, I believe, is 21, like just turned 21. So you're a couple months younger and you're punching out 14 plus in double A. There's something about that I think gives you the edge. But at the same time, Kate Anderson, the command is just better. I understand that it was college, but his feel to fill up the zone is ridiculous. And now we'll see if he maintains that through double A. And I think if Cade gets to double A and starts doing a lot of the same things, then you can have that conversation again. And I think he could be in double A quite quickly. They could assign him straight to there if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But what stands out to me with Cade is it's that feel for his entire arsenal where you've got the fastball, it's averaging 93, but it's got good characteristics. And I think that's the pitch that he actually locates the least consistently, which I'm almost encouraged by. Like, it's a 70% strike rate on the slider, it's a 70% strike rate on the changeup, and it's a 67% strike rate on the curveball. If the fastball command gets a little bit more pinpoint, I don't even know how you really get comfortable in the box against him because he can mix and match and kind of do whatever he wants. And he'll throw all of the offerings to hitters of both handedness. The only one that maybe he'll phase out a little bit is the changeup left on left. So the fact that you have this four pitch mix and a fastball with good characteristics that you got to deal with is tough. The part that's really difficult for me is, and we're seeing this with prospects going from double A to triple A, and then
Yeah.
from the amateur ranks to pro ball or internationally to affiliated ball. What's the fastball shape going to look like when he goes from the college ball to the professional baseball, and then especially the triple A ball? Because if Kate Anderson loses a couple inches of vert, that definitely affects him at 93 miles per hour a little bit more than maybe some other guys. Whereas Thomas White's fastball average is 96 with deception. Uh, that's going to play even if he had theoretically lost some vert, right? Thomas White's changeup and curveball, I think, are still a little bit better. Like but again, you're looking at a difference in strike rate of like 7%. It's college versus double A, so let's knock that down even a couple ticks. It still just seems like Kate Anderson has the pitchability a little bit more, but Thomas White slightly younger, with just more ridiculous stuff. White adding the slider as well, which now he has plus heater, plus curveball, I think a plus
Yeah.
changeup, and then a slider that he can mix in there. Stuff's nuts, but Kate Anderson just feels like such a high probability big leaguer where, like, if everything goes to shit, he's a 4. So
Yeah.
that's the part that makes him really good. But comparing these two arms was kind of a headache for me, but it also did make it easier to figure out where Kade Anderson could slide in because it immediately became a Thomas White, Kade Anderson conversation for me. So that told me, okay, he can kind of lock in right there at that 24-25 range.
Yeah.
But uh, regardless, unreal get for the Mariners, guy that can fly through the minor leagues. And I think the biggest thing to monitor is just how do those fastball characteristics, if at all, get impacted by the change in baseball.
Yeah. And we'll see what the offseason work looks like to maintain the fastball characteristics. 18-year-old Edward Florentino with the Pittsburgh Pirates is your number 31 prospect in baseball. Florentino last year in the DSL, 49 games, had an 890 OPS, walked more than he struck out. Then he comes to the complex this year, 29 games, hit 347 with 6 homers. Goes to Bradenton, is pretty much as good. The batting average drops, but the walks go up, and he's hit more homers. In 38 games, he's got 8 homers. So you combine rookie ball and low A this year, 67 games. He's slashing 296, 409, 565 with 28 stolen bases in 32 attempts and 14 homers with a 974 OPS. Is this the premier breakout prospect in baseball this year?
Yes, and we did have him as a breakout prospect preseason,
There we
um,
go. Big dub.
because I'll just tell you why. Saw him in spring training, in spring breakout, and some games in the backfields. I looked at his age to confirm, and I found out that he had just turned 18 years old, and his BP was insane. And I'm like, holy crap, this kid is gonna be something nasty. I didn't think it would be this good this year. It's crazy what he's doing. The batted ball specs are even more nuts. But if you just watch him play, he's so confident, he's so under control, but he's also powerful for an 18-year-old. So
Yeah.
he's daunting. Like there's this fear that he brings into the box, but usually those lower level guys that are pretty big and are imposing in the box are going to come with whiff. He has a 90% in zone contact rate this year. He has a 20% chase rate. So to be this plus hitter so far with good plate discipline, and then also still be a guy that's getting it off and he's trying to pull the ball in the air hard, like the way we watch Stowers, like he's just trying to essentially Kyle Stowers right now is trying to hit the ball as hard as he can in the air to right field, but he's malleable enough and just has this ability to hit that like he's still going to be able to adjust and shoot it back up the middle and manipulate the barrel and go backside, but when all goes right, he's hammering a ball to the pull side. And that's what you're seeing Florentino do. It's a 27% ground ball rate. But at the same time, he's still making a ton of contact. He's pulling the ball in the air at a really high clip, but I've still watched him, flick one the other way on a line and split the other gap. So it's just this very complete hitter here that at 18 years old to do what he's doing in low A is nuts. And the athleticism was something that was questioned to the profile at points. You mentioned the bags. I won't pretend to be able to have a great idea of how the center field defenses looked, but he's been playing out there essentially every single day. And some of the video that I was able to see didn't look bad. So even if he's serviceable out there or fine in a corner with that bat profile where it could be above average hit and power, like it's so rare to be able to find above average hit power and plate discipline, especially from a left-handed hitting outfielder who's 18 years old.
Damn. Yeah, I listen. The sell job is very good, but it seems like this guy is a rocket ship through the minor leagues. And tell you, with how frustrated the Pirates fan base is probably with Ben Cherington, this guy in terms of identification of prospects, like listen, Connor Griffin was not a slam dunk when he got to that spot. They took Griffin ahead of Bryce Rayner, and people questioned that move. They were right on that one. Florentino signing as an IFA, they were right on that one. Skeens was not a slam dunk. They were right on that one. Bubba Chandler, when they went to massively overslot him, they were right on that one. There's a lot of credit to be given in terms of amateur identification and scouting and development, but at the end of the day, like they just haven't really worked at the major league level, which is, at the end of the day, it has to work up
Yeah.
there, and it's just not.
No,
Okay, next
and
guy
it's
we
a
got to
good
talk
point.
about. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say just the fact that they have these guys is like the glimmer of hope right now in the Pirate system. And Wyatt Sanford looks like a good pick too, and just that gives you some hope. But
Yeah.
with Connor Griffin, by the way, looking like a superstar in the making, and I
Yeah.
hate saying that about prospects, but holy crap, if you look at his
Yeah.
last 50 games, and then Florentino looking like a guy that could be that next blue chip prospect, they've got some stuff percolating in the farm system. There's no doubt about it.
Are you more impressed with Griffin right now or Roman Anthony at a certain point in his development as a minor league prospect?
I I would say Griffin. I
Yeah.
would say
So
Griffin.
for me, like Roman just signed a $130 million deal and nobody batted an eye because it makes perfect sense. And this guy, like, he put up some ludicrous swings and he was a tremendous, tremendous outfield prospect. But it seems like the hype train that Connor Griffin has become is just greater than anything Roman did in the minor leagues.
Just because the athleticism blended with, I mean, and we're also talking about the EVs. Like the EVs are even higher than Roman.
Yeah.
We'll see if he maintains them, in Double A. And if he doesn't in Double A, then I think it's not even a conversation. But doing that while playing elite defense at center field or shortstop, and then just the 50 bags is like it's just it's crazy. What he's been able to do. So it's too reminiscent of like some of the best players in the game that we've had
Yeah.
over the last 20 years, and some of the best prospects that we've ever seen, really, in the last 20, 30 years, that it just feels a little different.
Got you. All right, we'll go a spot after Florentino. This is Aiva Arquette of the Miami Marlins, who was the seventh overall pick out of Oregon State. By the way, went to the St. Louis School in Honolulu, Hawaii. I just want to give you some notable alumni from the St. Louis School. Marcus Mariota, Tua Tagovailoa, Benny Agbayani, Caleb Lomavita, who I think he was teammates with, Brandon League, and everybody's favorite Jordan Yamamoto. So, some serious prestigious company at the St. Louis School in Honolulu, but Aiva Arquette slots in at 32 overall. He has already made his professional debut with Haye Beloit. He's a Sky Carp, and he's showing like that good defense at short that the Marlins were telling us about when they drafted him and when they signed him.
Yeah, he's got a shot to stick there, and doing just more of the dive on Arquette. You know, first and foremost, and the reason why he's ranked, this high is the the offense of like the offensive profile is just so easy to gravitate towards, right? Like even if the hit tool flattens out like a little bit and he's closer to fringy, which I think he'll be average at least. But if that happens, the power, it's so easy to dream on plus power. The EVs are well above average. He's elevating to the pull side pretty consistently. And he just has a really repeatable and rhythmic operation that I just it looks like he's going to be able to pull balls in the air pretty consistently. And you pair that with when he's 6'5", 220, he's probably only going to get more physical in terms of just being able to convert that into game power. I think you can dream on that plus power. So if he slides off a short, he's going to be a really solid third baseman. And that was through the defensive tape that I saw. That was what encouraged me as well. Is like, okay, there's still a chance he slides off of short, as is the case with any 6'5", 220-pound infielder. But what I saw from him at shortstop was a guy that if he moves off will be a good third baseman. So if I tell you, hey, this guy can be average hit plus power with well above average defense at third, you're saying, oh wow, that guy's gonna, yeah, he could be 4 or 5 WAR in great seasons. So like that still works out. But I think he's got a shot to stick it short. And as you mentioned, like you're already seeing some of that. My one concern is one, if he slows down a little bit, but two, he maneuvers really well for how big he is, but there's times where you realize how big he is when he tries to throw on the run. That's
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, that looks a little uncomfortable throwing from that different arm angle, and he doesn't maybe get those throws off as cleanly as you'd want to see. I think sometimes just getting the ball out a little bit quicker, like on the backhand, it's like, oh yeah, he's 6'5", he's getting up there and then throwing it, and so it's not as quick. But these are all things that could be trained, right? He's clearly a good athlete, and I know the Marlins have been adamant about the athleticism side of things too, where it's like he's way more athletic than people were giving him credit for. I mean, that was the thing that I know I even heard you talking about. I think when you had Frankie Polari on the radio broadcast, like right after the draft, is like he was turning in above average run times to first. So with the Marlins, I know that they're confident in their ability to potentially be able to train some of the footwork side of things, but I thought the footwork was good. It's just how can he get more comfortable throwing from those different angles, maybe get the ball out a little bit quicker. And he's going to get a lot of runway at short, though, because I see a player that deserves a lot of runway at short. But if he moves over to third, it could be great over there, which is the positive fallback.
Yeah. All right, going to the next guy who is also inside the top 40. It's Carter Jensen of the Kansas City Royals, and this is not a new draft pick. This is just a guy that is absolutely killing the baseball in the upper levels of the minor leagues. Carter Jensen this year, 96 games, hitting 282, 14 homers, and an 820 OPS between Double and Triple A. Was hitting 292 with a 780 OPS with Northwest Arkansas. He got the bump to Omaha. 8 homers in his first 28 AAA games. And oh, by the way, he just turned 22 a month ago. This kid has absolutely bypassed Blake Mitchell as the top catching prospect in the Royals organization, and he's quickly climbing around the league, huh?
Dude, I've talked about it a few times on the show now, but like his BP was outrageous, where he's going like toe to toe with Las Montes. Like legitimately, if you were just staring at the chop house, you wouldn't know when Laz was in the box or when Carter Jensen was in the box. And it sounds crazy, but then you look at Carter Jensen's EVs, and it doesn't sound too crazy anymore. I think he may have a higher average EV than Las Montes, if I'm not mistaken. And we're talking about a guy here that is just hitting the living crap out of the ball all the time to 55% hard hit rate. And he was a little bit lungy previously, and he's riding the back hip a lot better now as well. But 37% ground ball rate with a 90th percentile of 107 miles per hour, and 55% of the batted balls that he is producing are 95 plus miles per hour. And that's crazy stuff. I think in terms of average exit velocity, he would have been among I think the top 20 in Major League Baseball. Like his average EV, if I'm not mistaken, is like north of 93 miles per hour. Like that is crazy, crazy stuff. So that paired with the fact that like he looks like he can be an average catcher. Uh, if he's an average catcher with that power, the bat to ball looks good enough. He's patient. It's really fun. I think that kind of power from the left side is nuts. But yeah, average EV of 93 miles per hour would put him in the top 20% in Major League Baseball. And it's not like he's doing that in low A.
Uh,
He's doing that in triple A.
it would put him in the top 20 outright in Major
Sorry, did
League
I say
Baseball.
20%? Top 20 outright, excuse me.
Top 20 outright. It'd be better than guys like Vladdy Jr., Nick Kurtz, Gunnar Henderson, Jaron Duran, Austin Riley, Byron Buxton, Cal Raleigh this
Yep.
year. Cal Raleigh, it is north of 40 homers, 92.2 miles an hour average exit velocity. Guys at 93 exactly, Jonathan Aranda in Tampa, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and Corey Seager. He's on par with them.
This is some of the most underrated raw power in minor league baseball. And
Wow.
it's not, and he's 22. So if he's an average catcher, which I think he's getting close to being, and then it's enough bat to ball and good enough plate discipline to get to the power, I think he can hit 30 home runs. So left-handed hitting catcher, it's gonna be a good player for you.
Seriously. Okay, we are going to talk about a Red Sox breakout prospect in a moment, but can we step aside 10 minutes? I see there's a Lids point 0.4 miles away from where I'm at right now in Atlanta. Can I go run over there real quick?
You should. I think they had a Ronald Acuna Jr. meet and greet there a couple weeks ago, if I'm not
Oh,
mistaken.
really? At the Lids in Buckhead?
Yeah, I think it was the one in Buckhead.
Okay.
But
Cool. Yeah, no, I mean, dude, I know you have plenty of stuff to say about Lids, but this is a really cool thing I'm reading about right here. This Access Pass Premium.
yeah, so well, they've got sports cards, and that's the big news with Lids now. And if you just go to your local Lids, and I think most people listening to this will have one within a few miles of them. I think they have over 1,000 stores around the country. You can just go by. They have mega boxes in now. They have hobby boxes as well, which is the guaranteed auto, and then they have blaster boxes. You go to your local Lids, you pick up any of those three, and you just when you're checking out, tell them JB Lids. You get that free access pass membership for uh, an entire year. So not only do you get the opportunity to potentially, win a meet and greet, you get 20% off. And I don't have it in front of me. So let's see if I can do this.
I've
Like
got it. I've
push
got
me
it in
with the
front of me
Marlins.
here.
20% off of hats, 10%
Yes.
off apparel, 10%
Yes.
off of what's the other one? 10% off of
Novelty, not trading
novelty. I
cards.
was looking for the word novelty, and then the access to other giveaways. So I think they gave away like 10 hobby boxes to Access Pass members. They gave away a bunch of blaster boxes to Access Pass members, and it's literally free. Like you just show up, buy a blaster box, and then tell them JB Lids, and you get this Access Pass code for free for an entire year to potentially win stuff, but also to get 20% off hat and 10% off of like jerseys, other stuff like that too. And the mega boxes I like because hobby box and it's a lot of cards and it's a guaranteed auto, but it's risky and it's going to be the most expensive of the three. Blaster box is always fun if you just want to scratch the itch, but I always find myself wanting another blaster box. The mega box is like the good middle ground where you get more packs, not a guaranteed auto, but you get more guaranteed parallels, and yeah, you can find some fun cards in there.
I'm Team Headwear and Apparel at Lids because they have great partnerships all around, and they've got like actually very sick merch outside of hats. When you think Lids, you're always thinking Lids, right? You're always thinking like hats and everything. But in terms of like walking in and actually seeing the cool shirts and the jerseys and all that, that's legit. So the fact that you get discounted on that is next level. So I'm in, man.
Code
Lids.
code JB Lids.
Code JB Lids. Let's talk about Payton Tolle, former Horned Frog. Do you know the hand sign for the TCU Horned Frogs?
I do not.
Yeah, you knuckle the index and the middle
Oh
finger, and you
yeah.
also knuckle the thumb. Yeah, the TCU Horned Frogs. Peyton Tolle is a rocket ship through the minor leagues right now, and it seems like they could be getting him ready for a bullpen appearance down the stretch for Boston? Question mark.
He would be disgusting. I have zero doubt that he would immediately be very effective in the bullpen when you're getting the specs that he's getting on his pitches, and then you can just go, okay, fastball is going to tick up here, and then rip the slider against predominantly lefties. Good luck. He's extending at 7.7 feet. We
Oh,
want to compare to major leaguers. Nobody's getting that extension. Nobody. 7.7? That's insanity. So he's throwing this fastball that's mid 90s now with 7.7 feet of extension and decent carry. Shocker. Opponents are hitting 180 against his fastball. It's a 70 heater. Then you've got this slider that needs a little bit more consistency, but flashes plus because also you can think about the tunnel from where he's releasing from. And then also just the way it plays off of it. It's kind of this crossfire delivery a little bit too. And it's just this gyro slider that drops right off of it. That looks like it can be a plus pitch. And then he has a changeup that he'll mix in there that looks like it can be average. Same with the curveball. But even if those pitches are just average, it's a 70 heater, 60 slider with crazy deception. The worst case scenario for Tolle is elite lefty reliever. But I think what we're seeing at this point is the reliever risk is being shed. It's a 7% walk rate. He is filling up the zone with his slider now at a 70% clip, his fastball at a 69% clip. And the curveball, he's starting to get more confidence in and mix that in. The changeup is the pitch that needs to come along a little bit more. But how much does he really need it?
I don't know. At Peyton Tolle, you have it 38 overall, right behind Harleen Susana. I feel like that can change kind of quickly. I understand why you did Susana ahead of him because Susana is what over a year younger than Peyton Tolle at this point. But I mean, dude, if Tolle gets to the big leagues and shoves in September, he feels like, and Crochet was interesting because that was 2020 and he couldn't even make a minor league appearance before making his big league debut. But it feels very Crochet or Brandon Finnegan, I think his name was, who was
Yeah.
also a TCU Horned Frog, I think,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, you get up, you speed run your way to the pen, and then we try the starter thing next year. Like, I feel like there's a world where he's throwing. You know who tried to do it recently was DL Hall in Baltimore. Like that's
Yeah.
probably the best example where starting pitcher through and through. Now Tolle is better than DL Hall was in the minor leagues and in the upper minors, but
Yeah.
it feels like he could hop in, be a lefty setup guy that just lights the world on fire and bursts onto the baseball scene. And then you go into next year's spring training saying, "Oh, by the way, Tolle's a starter and a damn good one."
Yep. 100%. And I think and it makes sense anyways, because they probably want to limit his innings. He's throwing more than he ever has thrown because he's taken
Right.
himself deep into outings anyways. So he's a guy that helps you. He's going to get important experience. And then, yeah, you have that track that I think makes a lot of sense because he's showing enough to be a really good starter. What's funny too is this was another one where like Susana versus Tolle, really weird, very different players. If
Mm-hmm.
Susana had not come back from injury, I definitely would have leaned towards Tolle. The last 3 games for Susana since returning from injury, and obviously they're easing him back in, but he finally went 80 pitches last time out. He has struck out 20 and walked 2, while his
Damn.
fastball has averaged 100.5.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I get it then.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
Speaking of
crazy.
which, did Cavalli throw on Thursday?
Did he throw? He threw. He really threw, man. He looked like vintage Cavalli. We're gonna use that for a prospect. 4 1/3 for Cade Cavalli. 3 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Fastball average 97.5.
I didn't even see that. Wow, that happened 2 days ago.
Yeah, but that was awesome. That was really fun to see. That he looked like the borderline top pitching prospect in baseball, Cavalli, which I really hope he
Wow.
can keep that rolling.
Am I cooked? Okay, Payton Tolle was inside the top 40. Now we have to go outside the top 50. And we're going to speed the pace up a little bit on these guys. Seth Hernandez is the number 51 prospect in the game. Hernandez was taken number 6 overall by the Pittsburgh Pirates this year in the draft. He was a two-way guy in high school at Corona High School in California, which
Yep.
um, gave us Billy Carlson, gave us a couple other guys. It was far and away the best high school
Yep.
baseball team in America. But
Oh
Seth
yeah.
Hernandez, he is the number 51 prospect in baseball. Why is he outside the top 50 as we kind of get into like tier 2 with the newcomers?
It's just the archetype. I think if you look how many teenage pitching prospects are on this list, really Ryan Sloan is like the one that really bucks the trend, and it's because holy crap, when we talked
Yeah,
about him on the
so
last
advanced.
episode, like he's ridiculous with his field of pitch and in present secondaries. But if Seth Hernandez does what Sloan did, to start his professional career and rips off a few really good starts in full season ball, I think we're going to see him climb really quickly. I'm happy to be later or like slower on the prep, right-handers. I just
Yeah.
it's always a volatile archetype. The thing is that the stuff is just crazy. He's so athletic on the mound. He has so much potential. But the one thing that I am interested with Hernandez is it's 96, 98, but that he'll get up to, but he'll sit in the mid 90s. The fastball shape is kind of flirting with the dead zone there. But when you throw hard like that, it's
Yeah.
okay. But it is just something to monitor, and I just kind of want to see how that looks professionally. But the changeup is potentially elite. And then he has a big curveball that looks like it can be a good pitch. And then you've got the slider as well that he'll mix in there. So I just want to see him a little bit more professionally. Like, that's pretty much it. But again, still 51. You're not going to find a lot of prep right-handers anywhere, near the top 50 generally.
Yeah. And now we got to go outside the top 60 for the next newcomer. Jojo Parker, who was the Blue Jays' first round pick this year. Jojo Parker, number 65 overall in the top 100. He slots in just ahead of Brody Hopkins and Charlie Condon. I know you love the offensive template that Parker fits. Why do you have him under guys like Harry Ford, Taiit, and Cooper Pratt?
Yeah, I think it's the defensive side a little bit, and then just like the
Okay.
the upside in general. I think Taiit, I mean, you're looking at a guy that as a catcher, even if he doesn't stick, you're looking at plus power, potentially more than that, and from the left side. And then you have the chance of him, being a catcher there, and then the field of hit is already so impressive, and just the proof of concept there as well for a player of his age. And I'm pretty sure they're like the same age, which is nuts. Um, yeah, Cooper Pratt. It's the fact that he's going to be a good shortstop and the sum of his parts. Jojo, I think there's a chance, and I think it's more likely he moves to third, and that's going to put some more pressure on the bat. I think he can be a fine defender at third. I love the bat, the field to hit, the bat speed, the operation in the box. It's really impressive, but I don't see as much projection for him. So I just think there's a more likely case where JoJo is that like 55 hit, 50 power, and then if you put that at third, it's a little bit more of an uphill battle to get to those 4 WAR pop seasons. But I feel really good about his chances of being that 2 to 3 WAR player, given that if it's above average hit, average power, and solid
Yeah.
defense, at least average defense at third, it's going to play well. But I am a little bit skeptical of his chances of sticking at shortstop. But we'll see. And I'll never fully move a guy off that quickly. And
Yeah.
I think there's just so much to like offensively.
Got you. Um, Can I confirm something before we talk about the next guy?
Yes.
Do you find walks sexier than the average person?
Yes. I would say so.
Alfredo Duno, 19-year-old repeating low A, has 73 walks drawn already this year. Yes, 73 walks drawn in 90 games. Duno hitting 271 with a 414 OBP. Guys with more walks in the minor leagues. I've got Ryan Jackson here with the San Diego Padres. Then I have Slade Caldwell, Alex Freeland, who is Jay Sullivan, Joseph Sullivan, who's a Corpus Christi hook right now. And then I've got Max Clark and Ryan Waldschmidt, and that's it. He's
Those are good
top 10
players.
in all of minor league baseball in walks drawn.
Yeah, those are good players. It checks out though. Duno is it's a 14% chase rate. Like it's crazy. And that's what's made me a lot more bullish on him than I was before because there's going to be swing and miss, and there is swing and miss. I mean, the contact rates are iffy, but if you have supreme patience and also the quality of contact is superb, okay, you got a three true outcome catcher here potentially. Now that his arm is healthy, you're seeing that arm really shine behind the dish. He is an insane athlete for a guy who's 6'3", 250. Like insane. He's turning in above average run times down to first. So I don't know how long that lasts, but he's clearly really athletic as well, and I think that can help him in the box. I think that can help him, just continue to develop as a catcher. But when you have this ability to recognize spin, and you have the plus power potential, and then I think that can really help you get by with below average contact rates, and especially if you're a catcher who's above average defensively, which I think is what you can dream on. It's a really good profile if the biggest issue is contact rate, when he's doing all the things that he can do to hedge it. And it's still only a 19% strikeout rate. So when he gets to two strikes, he seems to be battling well enough. He can spoil enough. And then, the swing decisions are superb. I'm interested to see if that strikeout rate climbs a little bit more, against better competition who are going to be executing uh,
Yeah.
better. But he has really cut that strikeout rate down as he's progressed in low A. And I think he's just too good for low A. He should get a promotion here soon.
Love it. Liam Doyle of the St. Louis Cardinals is the next guy. Might have had the best college fastball in the draft. Liam Doyle, a fifth overall pick by the St. Louis Cardinals. Liam Doyle actually slots in outside the top 70. Doyle is at 79, right ahead of Rhett Lauder of the Cincinnati Reds at 80. That is a hilarious stack when you think
Yeah,
about it.
that's another crazy one. These guys couldn't be more different. Um, Doyle, I mean, it's the fact that the fastball is what it is already. I mean, you can pretty much you can pencil him in for like I think the fallback being a Tanner Scott type of situation, right? So
Wow.
I think that's the part that makes it really fun, where you feel good of him filling a big league role one way or another and a significant one. The reason why he's a little bit further behind, I think, for us than maybe some others is that's not where that's not why the Cardinals took him fifth overall, right? Like, they took him to develop into a potential middle rotation starter, and I think he can, especially when you have that 70 grade fastball. But it's
Yeah.
max effort, and he doesn't really have that reliable secondary just yet. The splitter is flash plus, but it hasn't been at a point where he can use it enough with enough confidence to be a plus pitch. And then he's got a cutter that's flashed above average, but it's kind of the same story. Then the slider
Yeah.
is loopy and further behind. And the command is, it'd be interesting to see if he can get to that average command professionally. But it does seem like he's going to be very reliant on the fastball at this point. And, if that splitter can get to plus and that cutter can be an above average third pitch, then I feel a lot better about his situation. But right now, I think the only consistently above average pitch that he has is that fastball. Good thing it's a 70 grade though.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Michael Arroyo of the Seattle Mariners. He was inside the top 100, then he was outside the top 100. Now he's back inside the top 100. Michael Arroyo slots in at 83 on Just Baseball's top 100 update. 97 games this year, 274 with a 412 OBP and an 896 OPS. 23 doubles, 17 pumps in 97 games. He's simply there because of production. He has to be, right?
I'm done doubting this guy.
Yeah.
It's I'm done doubting it. It looks weird, but it just works. And he to convert his shorter levers into just lofty batted balls and the way that he is still able to create leverage is really impressive. My big concern last year was his ability to hit velocity, where his contact rate against 93 plus was 61%. He hit 248 with a 312 slug against 93 plus last year. This year against 93 plus, it's been a lot better. But on top of that is like you're just seeing him. So contact rate against 93 plus this year is up from what 61% to 80%. So to make that improvement is just jarring. And then on top of that, basically any four seamer that he's seeing, it seems like, especially if it's not high velocity, he's crushing. Like overall against four seamers, 985 OPS. Sinkers has been kind of a similar story, and he's just good against all pitch types. Sliders, it's an 1,000 OPS. Curveballs, it's an 800 OPS. Changeups, it's an 880 OPS. Cutters, it's a 800 OPS. Like, how do you get this guy out right now? It's an 18% chase as well. It's this frame defying power, and the EVs are probably slightly above average, but it's a 33% ground ball rate with the ability to just generate backspin that makes him. He's gonna slug, man. It's remarkable, and he leverages his small strike zone really well. He's like 5'7", super selective. It works really well for him. I had doubts because it's like a second base profile and it's going to be average at best defense at second base, but he's gotten a lot better there too, where he looks like he can be average. It's just going to be an offensive driven second baseman, but a fun one. Give me the shades of Dan Ugla.
Sure. Okay, nice. That was Tamar Johnson for a minute, and now it's Michael Arroyo. I
Yeah.
like that a little bit better. It is fun, like listening to you just kind of walk through him, and it's like, here's why he could not be awesome, but here's why he's bucking that trend. So it's fun to like hear point, counterpoint, point, counterpoint, point, counterpoint. Logan Henderson of the Milwaukee Brewers, spot behind him. Henderson slots in at 84. He's here because of big league success and what else?
That like it would be malpractice to not have him in the top 100, right? I mean, this guy's getting out
Yeah.
to the big league level. He just came back up last week, four and a third, one run. like, but the answer is the fastball is just like outlier, I would say,
Yeah.
right? Like he's releasing from a 5'2" release height with such a flat approach angle, and then it's getting plenty of ride. And then the big thing that's come along for him this year, and I think that's unlocked him from being a guy that's dominating at AAA, but with some skepticism to a guy that can help the big league team, is that changeup. He's
Yeah.
getting 19 inches of total separation between his changeup and his fastball. So you imagine the tunnel that's gonna create, and then the strike rate on it is way up. It's a 65% strike rate this year. And then I think the other part, it's not a great pitch, but now he's mixing it in enough to keep hitters honest. Because when you've got it's kind of like that Brian Wu type of fastball. It's just okay. What can I mix in that's good enough to just take them off the trail a little bit?
Yeah.
And the changeup is that out pitch for him. But the cutter looks like it's an average third pitch that can take them off the trail a little bit. And that's all he really needed. So I still think this is more of a five and dive guy. I don't see him going through three times around unless he's like just dotting that day, and
Yeah.
there's going to be days where he's doing that. But in today's game, with that kind of fastball, if you're a five and dive guy, you're going to be really valuable for a long time.
And you're going to be one of the top 100 valuable people in minor league baseball. A couple of guys, real quick, that we've talked about plenty over the last couple of weeks. Khal Stephen, now of the Cleveland Guardians. Stephen was the 1-for-1 swap for Shane Bieber. He's inside the top 100. I feel yeah, a awesome breakout arm. We've talked about him a lot over the last bit.
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I would just say feel so good about acquiring an arm like that in a
Yeah,
trade because yeah, you know that you're getting somebody that's gonna help you. Even
yeah.
if he's a 4 or a 5, he's gonna help you. He's gonna be good. But I think you can dream on a 3 with the plus ride on the fastball and the slider, the splitter, and the taste breaking curveball. Opponents are hitting 196 with a 542 OPS against him this year, and he's only walked 18 while striking out 99. What else do you want from a guy?
I don't know. Same deal with Kendry Rojas, now of the Minnesota Twins. Kendry Rojas, a guy that we've talked about a lot. He was Ty France, Louis Varland. Top 100 prospect you get back for Ty France and Louis Varland.
Yeah, yeah, and I think seeing the fastball uptick, where he creates this deception from the left side, and now he's sitting 95. That's a plus pitch. The splitter off of it looks like a great pitch as well. I want to see
Yeah.
a little bit more shape separation. You look at the scatter plot, there's a little bit too much overlap with the slider as well. So I'm hoping he can find something that works maybe a little bit better horizontally. But he's 22 years old already in AAA, and for good reason. I mean, it is nasty stuff, and that fastball is really, I think, been a huge development for him as well. I think there's going to be a little bit of an acclimation process to AAA, and first start didn't go great. Second one went a little bit better, but he's got all the time and the fastball splitter combination to really lead the way.
The ultimate enigma is the number 93 prospect in minor league baseball, according to Arm Layton, Spencer Jones of the New York Yankees.
You want to talk about Spencer Jones?
We've
What do you
talked about
think?
him like 8 times over the last 2 weeks, I think.
What do you think though? What's your final take on the guy that some said, right, there were some reporters that were saying he was only going to be moved for a Paul Skeens type.
Really, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, there
My
was a lot of
final,
Paul Skeens types available at the deadline, right?
I guess, my f- ultimate take on Spencer Jones is he was having an out of body experience. He still is having an out of body experience in minor league baseball while striking out north of 30% of the time. So when the best of Spencer Jones looks like a 28% K rate, I have to think that the normal Spencer Jones at the major league level is going to be a 37% K rate. And the question is, does he hit enough homers? He's a brain melter. And I know
It's
that he's a brain melter for you. And I at this point I got to see what happens at the major league level because, we crapped on Joey Bart for having a 40% K rate in his first big league year. But at the end of the day, Spencer Jones can punch out 40% of the time if he hits 25 homers.
Yep. And the last 30 games, it's down to 25%.
Yeah.
So
And,
in that,
and listen, that fan base hated Joey Gallo. I
oh,
don't envy Spencer Jones's position right now.
oh no. But so this is the thing is you're gonna get that Joey Gallo type of ups and downs and whatever. The difference is if he can steal 40 bags and play center field, that's a little bit more fun of a profile. The problem is
Yeah.
he's too aggressive. And I think the chase rates will be a little bit higher for him because he's taller and it's kind of the CAG thing where it can be a little bit misleading. But I want him to lean into the three true outcome thing as much as possible. Like, I don't want to see a chase rate north of 30%. And so I do have some concern about him being able to recognize spin. And if that's the case, then that's going to be a big problem because then if you can't recognize the spin as well and you're going to whiff a ton in the zone just because that's who you are, then it's going to be a lot harder to have that success. But what's very clear is he has found the way to have major damage on contact. He's not going to miss a mistake. That's very clear at this point. He's optimized his swing where he will not miss a mistake, and his slug on contact is going to be as good as anybody's in Major League Baseball. You pair that with plus speed and the ability to play center. This can be a really dynamic, frustrating, but unique player that it definitely carries value, and it's really cool that he's been able to get himself to this point, though. Given that, I think you asked us last year, this time last year, it was I would have thought it was more likely he slips into prospect obscurity than
Yeah.
doing this. So that's why I love the game. That's why it's fun, and I really hope that he continues to be this brain melter that forces us to rethink things a little bit. I
Yeah.
love those types of players.
100%. Two more guys, real quick. CJ Kayfus of the Cleveland Guardians slides in the top 100 at 97.
So my big concern with Kayfus had always been like, okay, the production did not always meet the underlying data. Where like you saw him putting up great numbers because he could hit the ball in the air, the pull side, but the contact rates were fringy and the EVs were kind of fringy. He has improved his quality of contact significantly this year, where the hard hit rate's 46%. The 90th percentile is close to, it was roughly 105 miles per hour. So now I can feel a little bit better about the contact rates being fringy. And you pair that with the fact that he could play a little bit of corner outfield, he could play a little first, and he looks really good at first. And I think he's just a really solid player. And with the production in the upper minors, it's a guy that slips into the back of the top 100, right? If he's playing first base and outfield, if he's like a Ryan O'Hearn type, I think that's a solid player that is deserving to be in top 100 consideration. I think that's, kind of the archetype that you can dream on here.
Yeah. And last but not least, Dylan Beavers of the Baltimore Orioles under the tag at 100.
He's going to be in the show, I think, in the next week, right? Once they can confirm that he won't exceed rookie limits, his swing evolution has been really fun to watch, and he's found that short, compact, but still lofty swing that can create the pull side juice that he needs. Another guy that's added more power this year, but is still really selective at the plate, producing above average contact rates. I mean, he's been on a scorcher in AAA, back-to-back multi-homer games. He looks like he's come along great defensively, where he can play maybe above average in a corner. He's stealing some bags. This is a really well-rounded player here, where I think it's going to be 50s across the board, with plus speed potentially. So that would be the one that is a little bit above 50, and just be a really solid, well-rounded player that I think fits in, tomorrow for the Orioles. And they need more guys like that, where maybe the ceiling's not sky high, but he's got a great chance of hitting 270, walking at a good clip, hitting you 15 to 20 home runs, and stealing you 15 to 20 bags.
Love it. That's our program.
Hope you all enjoyed. We are going to get back onto regular scheduling next week. We've got another farm system potentially to break down. Speaking of Beavers, could be the Orioles, as we're wrapping that side of things up. Crazy update there with that, or that there's just 40 new prospects over there between the draft and the trade deadline, but excited about that. Some other fun programming ahead, some prospect interviews potentially on the way. Hope you have a great weekend. Look forward to talking prospects with you next week.